so much, everyone. Good morning. So happy to see all of your faces. My name is Gosa. Welcome to this session. I'm a part-time faculty at York University and Law School College. So excited to be here and to start this great presentation. Before we dive into the presentation, I would like to provide you with some activities, some reflective activities. Is that okay? Okay, so I want you to take some time and think about your first year of teaching, or 5 years ago, or even last semester. Just think about it for 30 seconds. I want you to think about those strategies, those methods which you were using at that time. And think about it and remember which one was changing, or you decide to change which of them. Just think and remember. If you want, you can just write it down, or you can just keep it in your mind. Okay, now I want you to please think about the reason of that change. What was the reason? Think about it for a few seconds. Again, you can just write it down or just keep it in your mind. It's up to you. Okay, so this is exactly what we are going to talk about it today. Okay, I hope that your minds are ready to absorb the new information, and let's go and start it. Okay, so what do I want to share with you in this session? So these are some reflective experiences from my classrooms. So this presentation is not the traditional research-based presentation. So it's rooted in the real and practical practices coming from my classes, my classrooms. Okay? So I just want to go and talk about those interactive, those inclusive teaching techniques which we can just include it in our classes every day. And of course, I will be sharing some real-world case studies. So you can hopefully get some insight about it. And I hope after this session, when we are just saying goodbye and you're leaving, you go with some practical ideas, some fresh minds, which you can just include and use it in your next class, probably. Okay, so what do we want to talk? Do we all agree that the post-secondary landscape is changing so quickly, right? Also, our students, they are coming from diverse cultural backgrounds, from diverse experiences, academic backgrounds, right? And also, they are coming from diverse learning styles. So, this is the diversity. And there is one more thing. The industry is changing so rapidly. Besides the industry, we know that the pedagogy is also changing. So we have to adopt. Our teaching methods also should adopt with those changes. So we have to just receive the reflections and act accordingly, right? Okay, so this presentation is around these two main questions. How can we improve teaching to meet our today's diverse classroom needs? And what small and reflective changes can lead to lasting impact? What guided this work? As I just said, first of all, what was the starting point for me, for myself? The starting point was the time I experienced and I witnessed the challenges. Okay? First, let's go and see what are those challenges. One more time, just to remember the diverse learning styles. Our students, they're coming from different backgrounds, different cultures, even with different languages. And this is real, right? Each of them, they have their own specific learning style. Okay, what was the next challenge? Limited participation. I'm sure as educator, as instructor, all of us, we experience this in our classes. When we are running the activity, learning activity, the assessment, and unfortunately sometimes participation rate is so low. Students, they decide not to engage with the activity. It's not because they are not smart enough. It's not because they don't know the answer. It should have some other reasons. Okay. Next challenge. Disconnection in content. What is this? I just mentioned earlier that the industry is changing so rapidly. So, industry is changing. Our learners are also changing. So, their expectations are completely different from us. From the way that we teach, from the content that we deliver in our classes. Are they related to their real lives? Or is just some theories? Okay, this is another challenge. When the content, when the activities, when the assessment, when they are not connected directly to the real world experiences, to our students' lives, well, unfortunately, they will feel disconnected with the material. And the next challenge, one-way feedback. What is this? As educator, again, we know sometimes we might not have the time for providing individualized feedback for each student or some insights. If we are going to provide them with some traditional feedback, this is the time that some issues, they will arise, right? Because we have to change and we have to adapt with our students, with the industry, with the real needs. Okay, this was the challenge. Now, what is the strategy? These are the challenge, but we have to think about it. How can we use these challenges and just turn it to the opportunity as the theme of this conference? So, one more time, the methodology is grounded in practice. I am just teaching some undergrad courses at the university and the college I am working right now, right? So during the time I am teaching all of those past semesters, I gained some experiences. I always collect feedback and reflection. I ask for reflection from my students. I know that all the universities, all the colleges, all the institutions, they are having the end of the term survey or those ways of asking for the feedback from students. Yes, this is correct. However, I believe this is not practical enough. Why? Because, for example, just imagine we are running the classes during the term, during the semester. We are having 11 to 12 weeks for each semester. And most of the time, students are asked to just fill out the survey at the end of the semester. Right? In week number 10, 11, when we are going to say goodbye. Yes, the insights from those surveys are so valuable. However, they will be used for the future terms, future semesters. But how about this semester? How about these students? How about our current students? I believe they also have the right to learn. So, because of this, I am also providing them with so many different opportunities of just reflection, giving feedback. Okay? Sometimes it's anonymous. Why? I just want to make sure that they don't feel scared. Because if they do, the result is not really helping us. Okay, I will run it most of the time in week number 5. This is the official one from myself, not from the university, not from the colleges. But apart from that, I am also having continuous assessment, right? Not assessing their knowledge. Yes, I do as well for that purpose. But at the same time, I am asking them some simple questions. What is the purpose of those questions? The purpose is to guide me through. Okay, I am just following some specific ways of teaching or some specific methods. I have to make sure if those are working for these specific students, because as I said, each student might have a different learning style. And I want to just make sure that this is working very well for them. So I will ask them some informal, simple questions. But even those informal, simple questions, they will guide me through. Okay, where is the time or in which area do I need to apply some modifications or adjustments? Okay. So let's just recap this part. I will just ask the students for their feedback, and based on the feedback which the students are providing, I will learn the lesson. And I try to identify those areas for adjustment, and I do it. After that, I'm not done yet, right? Because I have to analyze the result. Okay, I applied this change, this modification. I changed my assessment. Okay, now this is the time to see if this was really working or not. Okay. This is exactly what I call it reflective teaching style. It's the teaching method, teaching style, which is completely based on the reflection. Reflection coming from the students. So, it's a very simple one. It's a very simple cycle. However, most of the time, unfortunately, is lost. Why? Because we are busy. And when we are following some specific techniques for our classes, sometimes we might be a little bit scared of change. But if we know how we can do it practically, so there's no reason for being scared. Of course, during this time, which I was following this cycle and this method, I also faced failure. Because not all the teaching methods, not all the assessments they will work for everyone, for all the learners. No. There are some moments of failure as well. But doesn't matter really, because we also can learn from the failures. And all of those moments, failures, and those moments of success, they will just guide us through the right direction. So these are the key findings. When we are able to modify and change the way of teaching or the assessment, learning activities, for example, this is the exact time that we can see the change. What changed? Do we remember what was the initial challenge? I just shared with you. One of them was that, okay, students are coming from the diverse learning style, so they are requiring a specific support, each of them. Okay, if I am successful, if I can just receive the feedback, and if I can modify successfully, so I should be able to see the result. And the result, one of them is that, okay, all the students will feel included. This is one of the main reasons for me. I mean, every day when I go to the classes, I want to make sure that the environment is safe and inclusive for everyone. What does that mean? So even if I have some students from India, some domestic students from Canada, some students from Taiwan, Iran, all over the world. So I have to make sure that all of them, they will feel welcomed to share their ideas during the class. And they feel supported. They feel engaged. If I'm able to provide the teaching methods specifically for each of them, and if I'm able to support each of them, so this result will be happening. And the other thing which we need to wait for it, and if the way that we are doing it is correct, hopefully we should be able to see it as well, is increasing rate of engagement. When we are having the class activity, when we are having the class discussion, I'm sure everyone, we experience that, right? So some students, they do not participate at all. Remember, they are all smart. Why they are not participating? Maybe because we are talking about the multicultural country, multicultural classrooms, diverse classrooms, we are facing with the language barrier. Yes, before they come to the university, they pass some specific tests. This is true. Probably they got 6.5 in IELTS, right? But are they really confident to share their ideas while they are inside the class? Okay, when I'm talking about the modification and those changes, this is exactly the place. So I will make sure that if I'm just giving them some assessment, if I want to assess their understanding of some specific topics, I will provide them with some different opportunities to express themselves. It's not always about writing. It's not always the verbal way. Well, most of the time, I will give them some different options. Okay, you can be creative. If you prefer, you can just write it down, or you can share it verbally, or you can just come up with some painting. So even if they are not confident enough to share their answers and to participate and to engage verbally, they might be able to express themselves in other ways. Okay, so this was the next challenge. So we can see that the rate of engagement is increasing. And it's not just about the rate of engagement. It's also about the depth of their insights. Okay, when they're sharing their ideas, is it some surface level or some deep ideas? Okay, so this cycle, which you can see here, plan, do, study, act from Deming. After that, first of all, I was just doing this experience in my classes, but after some study, I found out that this is my way of practice aligns with this PDSA cycle. Plan, do, study, and act. And this is exactly the way you can just implement it in the class, or I implement it in my classes. So first of all, for each class, we are having some different goals. So we have to set it first, in the first step. After that, based on the goals that we are having, based on the students and their levels, their, let's say, expectations, the way that I can support them, I will set the goals and I will decide about the strategies that I'm going to use it in the classes. It's about the way I'm going to deliver the lectures, is the way that I'm going to just run the assessments, and also the way that I'm providing them with the feedback. Well, one of the challenges was that some students, they couldn't really connect with the feedback, with the traditional feedback which they are receiving from the instructors. This is true. So I will spend time for each of them and try to provide them with the personalized insight based on their work, not something general. And when I'm just sometimes setting some assessment for them and say that, okay, after these activities, you need to provide feedback for your classmates, for your pair. Exactly at that time, I'm going to teach them the same. Don't be general. This was a good work, this was a bad work. Okay, what do I understand from this feedback? It is good, but we should be detailed. I am trying to provide them with the personalized and detailed feedback which they can use and they can improve themselves. I believe there is no other way for just growing. We will study something. Yes, we passed some assessments, but okay. But now, I should be able to learn from my mistakes. How? If I'm receiving the proper feedback. And if I do, I will learn the proper way of providing feedback for others, for my classmates. Okay, this is good. We just learned how to give feedback, and it's sometimes about the assessments, about the content. It should be related to their lives, to the real world case studies. So they will not say that, okay, why should I study this content? This is some questions that sometimes we might hear from some of those honest students, right? Okay, but how can I address the challenge? Before I do anything in my class, first of all, I will explain the reasons why. Yes. And after that, after all of those adjustments, we can see that they will just engage more, they will perform more, and probably we achieve the goal. So this was just one example. I already explained it. And the observations, which I explained, and these are the theories. Again, one more time, this presentation was not the, let's say, research-based in the traditional sense. However, it was theory-informed by reflective practice, PDSA cycle, and student-centered learning. So, yeah, just remember, when we're gonna start, it's okay if we are scared, and we don't need to be perfect to start, but we need to start. And just continuous reflection is the key. Even if we can start just with a very simple and a small change, apply it, receive the feedback from the students, and modify it based on the result. And this was the actionable recommendation. So I know that my time is up. Thank you so much for your attention. If I can just ask you, I know that my time is just finished, but think about the activity which I asked you to do and complete earlier. Think about that. You don't need to just share it. Think about it. And if there is anything which you wanna go and just apply it in your next class, write it down on a piece of paper or just keep it for yourself. Something that you are passionate to try it on for your next class. That's it. Thank you so much for your attention.